It is Wednesday, my dudes, and of course you know what that means. It is time once again to revisit Velocity Lake, the theme park that I'm building in Planet Coaster, and recording the building of that and uploading the video to YouTube. And here we are, episode 55. Who would have thought this series would go on so long? I thought Neptune Park was a long-running series, and where did that peak off? Like episode 30? I didn't even know, but it wasn't 55 episodes, I'll give you that. And like I say, we are picking up exactly where we left off. We are continuing construction of the B&M Invert, and I realize, last episode I never actually told you guys the name of this ride, and it is called the Phantom. That's the name of the ride. I realize now that this doesn't really change anything about the actual content of this video, but now you guys don't have to think about this as the B&M family invert. It is called the Phantom. So do what you want with that knowledge. In today's episode, I'm already quite nervous about doing this commentary because I realize we're about a minute into the video and it's a 22-minute video and basically nothing happened. I mean, stuff happens, right? Because there is clearly 22 minutes of video ahead of us, and obviously that represents several hours worth of footage. But it doesn't really have much of a focus. What it does, it's the queue, okay? We're building the queue of this ride and we're starting out construction of the station. So, it's got stuff, but I feel like building queues and building stations, I've done that a lot. I've said that this is going to probably be this will almost certainly probably be the last roller coaster of Velocity Lake. And so I've talked about a lot of roller coasters so far, and Velocity Lake is not the first series I've made of Planet Coaster on this channel. I've made Neptune Park, Mistletoe Peak, Crimson Tower. Did I say Mirror Lake? I don't think I did say Mirror Lake. Or Lowne. I've basically built a lot of stuff in Planet Coaster on this channel, and a lot of that stuff is paths and stations. And now I'm reaching the point where, how many things can I say about building paths and building stations in this game? Building paths sucks in Planet Coaster. The path tool is horrible. Already said that to death. And building stations, I mean, I can't really even talk about that very much this episode because it's basically just the footprint of the station we're building, and the actual station construction will be happening next episode, I think. I don't know, guys. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. I'm not going to lie to you. It is currently Wednesday, my dudes, for me, but it is Wednesday the 15th. And those that remember the fabled, I don't know what the perception was of episode 54 because I've literally just pressed publish on episode 54's video. Now, I'm assuming the comments are now flowing in, blah, 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 about what people thought of it. But I'm hoping it was fairly well received, right? So, I said in episode 54 that, I was recording the Planet Coaster footage that day and I was really busy and I just had to make the video ready for Wednesday on the Wednesday. And now I'm like, okay, I can now recoil from that adrenaline rush, unwind, and what do I do? Well, why not sit back and meander down the stream of consciousness that is my Planet Coaster commentaries and just do another one. So this is now coming off the high of episode 54's commentary. It's 5 to 8 for me, and obviously I haven't just done episode 54 today. I have done other things, for example, go to work for 9 hours. That was a pretty substantial thing. Then I parked my car in my garage for Americans, or garage for British people and any other country. Again, I'm dragging this commentary. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's move along. Basically, I've mentioned in videos before that I do enjoy a good kayak. And my girlfriend, Beth, many of you will know her from my Discord server as that moderator that sucks and everyone hates. I'm saying that because she's in the room and she's looking at me and she's smiling. It's fine. But no, I do like going out kayaking, but it's very much a solo venture. So I thought, you know what, let's get Beth a kayak as well. So I bought Beth a kayak. So today we picked it up, we brought it back, which is fine. I've got a very small car though. It is a 2010 Vauxhall Corsa, and it's very small. It's a compact car. So up until now, it's been fine because you can fit one kayak on the roof of the Corsa, but suddenly adding a second kayak that complicates things somewhat. So in anticipation, I bought some like J-bars for my roof rack. I realize now that this commentary is now completely unrelatable to everyone, but I'm going to press on in the spirit of this series and the fact that I've got to talk for 15 minutes. So gosh darn it, I'm going to fill it with whatever I please to fill it with. But that doesn't even make sense. Whatever I choose to fill it with, such as making typos out loud and then not going back and editing it out. No, so basically, I bought some J-bars. And my epic plan was to have one kayak just lying flat on the roof bars, and then I'd have a J-bar next to it and have the other kayak sort of stacked up vertically against it. But it didn't quite fit because I really underestimated just how big my car is, and I overestimated how small it was. I said both of those things the wrong way around, but you get the idea. I'm going to press on again. I'm sorry, it's late. I've not eaten today. Actually, to be fair, I had a breakaway bar for lunch, so it's fine. But yeah, so I was like, Beth, it doesn't fit. What are we going to do? So I thought, let's just buy another J-bar. So then both kayaks can have J-bars and they can sit up vertically and it'll be fine. But all J-bars currently in the UK are out of stock. I guess because everyone's been furloughed or otherwise out of work. And so everyone's buying kayaks and stuff. And so all kayaks and all accessories are currently out of stock. So I'm like, well, shizazzle. What are we going to do? So I'm like, let's just experiment. So I like strapped on like Beth's kayak to the roof of my car, and then I very precariously, went a bit Sean Connery there, very precariously put my kayak on the near vertical it's an adjustable, right? So it was a near vertical alignment of the J-bar, strapped it all together, and it's just about fit on the car. Like both kayaks, well, one kayak is about the same length as the car, the other kayak is substantially longer. So it looks ridiculous anyway. And I kind of strapped both of them down together. And I'm like, it looks precarious, but I think it's fine. So we went for a quick test drive around the block. Took corners a little bit faster than I would otherwise take them. Took the speed bumps a little bit faster than I would otherwise take them, in hopes that if anything were going to become dislodged, they would. And they didn't. There was a bit of precarious wobbling, but we managed to diagnose what that fault was, and so that's going to be fixed. And so we're going to be going. I've just realised now that I had this tangent had no end. I was like, yep, we've established now that we can get both on the roof, and so this weekend, hopefully weather permitting, we're going to go out kayaking, and it's going to be epic. I think, hopefully, I don't know. What's even happening on screen? I feel like I haven't talked about Planet Coaster at all. Oh my goodness, it's a POV. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay, and now it's over. I probably should have slowed down the footage just then to real time so you could actually appreciate it, but we got 20 minutes. Let's just try and keep the commentary down to, tolerable lengths. Here we come to the turnaround part of the path. This was kind of a difficult... I feel like I've made this... I'm now going to retroactively talk about all the stuff I didn't talk about. So I made this, air quotes, custom fence. I took these standard fence pieces and then duplicated one and rotated it to 90 degrees. And it kind of made that nice sort of grid effect fence. That it looks like a Theme Maker's Toolkit item. It looks unique, but it's all achieved through the stock game, as I'm sure you saw when you watched me do it. I assume. Although some people leave comments, right, saying that they don't actually watch these videos, they just listen to my commentary. I mean, you guys need help. No, it's probably not that bad, but I don't know. I like to think that my commentaries, rambly as they might be, do at least somewhat complement the footage on screen. And I really want more people to play this game, because then if more people play this game, then more people are interested in watching my videos, and so I win ultimately. No, but I genuinely would like to more people to play this game, because I think it's a great game, although I do appreciate it. It's definitely got its niche. I feel like, again, I started a tangent and then didn't finish it. This is the roundabout bit of the pathway. It was kind of awkward to fill in. Like, I had the inner side, like the inner apex, is that the word, of this path, and it was a bit difficult to fill in. So I thought I'd put a planter there, realised that the ground was uneven, and I needed to, flatten the planter out relative to something I knew was flat. So I quickly dragged it out to the river leading into the lake and aligned it so it was flat relative to the water. So I knew that it would be level, and then we can shift it back across to the substantially more uneven path, and there you have it. We filled in that little corner there. So that was an interesting little puzzle. that I created for myself. I feel like it didn't seem to take as long as it did in real life, because obviously I've sped this footage up quite a bit, and there are some stealthy cuts here and there. You may notice them, just for any of the more tedious and long-going tasks. So it was an interesting puzzle. Take my word for it. It was an interesting space to fill, but I think I filled it nonetheless. And again, the footage was sped up, but my goodness, placing those custom fences on uneven terrain was very, very tedious. To place fences that are, perpendicular to sea level, as in not tilted relative to the surface that they've been placed on, is a very slow process in Planet Coaster, because you have to kind of place one and then place them all individually using the advanced duplicate and move tool, which is very, very slow. Normally, the best thing to do is just select the piece you want, press Ctrl D, and just place them down with the mouse and then shift them down afterwards. But that only works if the terrain you're placing them on is relatively flat. And in this case, it wasn't. So I had to do everything sort of using the advanced move tool, and it was very tedious. But, the outcome ultimately is very satisfying. So it was worth it in the end. So I don't really know. Was there a moral to that story? Who knows? Here you can see me continuing with the construction of the queue line fencing. This is, of course, the priority pass queue for the 1% to bypass the peasants to the front of the queue. That's the official Lowne dictionary definition of a theme park priority pass. And here you can see me trying to fill in this awkward gap between the path and the ground, but then I thought, you know what, let's just make things easier for myself. Let's just make the path asphalt and paint the ground the asphalt colour, and then it will kind of just be done for me. So that's that. And I think, to be honest, the clash between the black and the purple looks a bit better than the beige aesthetic that we had before. So I guess everything just worked out well in the end, which, like I say, was a thing that kind of I've been saying when describing this roller coaster. I just really like how this coaster turned out. Everything, as it were, just came together nicely. And now you can see me being a bit cheeky, just filling in the gap between the blue. I didn't go for black the whole way round. I decided to go for a bit of blue, just add a bit of a splash of colour. And I realised that didn't really work when it came to occluding the visible grass. So I just sort of expanded the concrete base of the fence, and I think it came out okay. And to be honest, I could believe that. If I saw that in real life, I probably wouldn't question it. So I think it's acceptable. And then we could just continue working on I feel like the commentary has really gone downhill since I started looking at the screen and tried desperately to talk about what was going on and trying to give, interesting anecdotes for the thing that I'm doing on screen, which is the same thing over and over again for 20 minutes. So what else can I possibly talk about? It's difficult as well, because I've already been on a bit of a rambly tangent in the form of a Planet Coaster commentary already today, not just for the previous 10 minutes of this video, but also because, like I say, I just recorded episode 54's commentary, and so I was already talking about some of the things that were happening in my life, me completing Spyro. That's it, actually. I don't have a very exciting life, to be honest, guys. What else has been happening? Did anyone see the new film? Nope, there are no new films this year, because I guess 2020. It's been both a very eventful year, but also a very uneventful year, There's not much to talk about. I've been to work and I've stayed at home, and that's pretty much it, to be honest. I'll tell you something I have been thinking about doing was bringing back Space News. That series I made 2 episodes of, because I really liked making the Space News episodes, and I really enjoyed, I really enjoy talking about things like that and researching and writing and getting all my facts wrong according to all the comments. But it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. But I think it was just a bit too much for me, like having to work, 9 hours a day in a hospital, especially now during 2020, having to do that and do Planet Coaster and do Kerbal Space Program, and now I'm adding this to my schedule. I realized that it was just not a healthy way to live, like to have zero free time having another series brought on board. But I've come up with a way of doing it. Basically, I've roped in Beth, like a star of this episode, it seems. She's been mentioned twice, which is more than any woman should be mentioned, am I right, fellas? Joking, of course. We are very progressive on this channel. No, I've roped her in, and she can, like, I've taught her how to, I'm going to get her some editing software. She's got her own editing PC now, so she can do some scripts. She can do some research. She can put scripts together, or, like, bullet points. So I can put my own terribleness on the terrible spin on the way it's all written. So it'll still be me, but I'll have the summary, and then I can just basically sit down, talk for like 5 minutes, and then she could just go away and edit it all, which editing is the big thing with YouTubing, right? Like, editing is like 90% of the job. So the fact that that's off my hands, and obviously all the research and scripting and all that is off my hands as well, I think we've got a good system now to bring back space news. I'm saying this very hesitantly, but I'm aiming to... Oh, wait, I've just realised that we're... This is the issue with me recording these episodes in the quote-unquote past, because we're aiming to release the first episode on July the 20th. And obviously for you guys, my plan is that you guys are watching this on Wednesday the 22nd of July. So... the first episode of Space News will probably have already happened. But I'm going to talk about it from my perspective now, where I genuinely have no idea if it's going to go up on the 20th. So we'll just press on anyway. I thought, the launch of the Mars 2020 rocket would be a really good, a starting point. Like, this is where we begin. And then throughout Space News, we can give updates on it. Because, Marcus House and other channels have kind of got the Starship build all kind of cornered. I don't think I'd really need to report on Starship news, even though that seems to be what gets in the views, but I must preserve my professional integrity. But, there are other things happening in space all the time, every week, every day. There's news to do with space news. I don't even know. I think I'm going to drop the name Space News, to be honest, because there's a very successful. I was going to say popular, and then I started saying successful, and then I changed my mind. But then I panicked, so I sort of said there's a very popular website. Moving on. There's a popular website called spacenews.com. I think that's the URL. And I don't want them to get annoyed with me, or God forbid, do some sort of copyright strike because I'm copying their name. So I'm probably going to come up with some other definitely unique name, maybe the Lowne Round Down or something like that. Haven't thought of a name yet, obviously, if that's the name I suggest. But I would like to resume covering the news at some point. So that's hopefully happened for you guys, and maybe you liked it. If it hasn't happened, it's because it sucked. That's another big thing that's happening. Here we are. Oh, look at that. We're looking at a POV in real time, I think. No, according to Vegas, it's running at 103%. So hopefully it's a negligible difference between that and real time. So you guys can appreciate that. But there's not much more really left to be done. As you can see, we've built the foundation of the station. We've built most of the queue and indeed the fencing of the queue. Like I said, I keep saying the foundation of the station because basically we're building everything up to the actual ground level, if that makes sense. So the actual station platform for, where the station is, and, walls up to the level of the footpaths that lead up to the station level. I think that makes sense, so I'm going to assume it does, and press on. So in terms of the theming for the station, I did think about doing some sort of wild theming, but to be honest, we are in very close proximity to Pulsar, which admittedly doesn't have a particularly strong theme, but it is a theme nonetheless. It's like space and space travel, like it's a rocket going near a pulsar, and it's really thrilling, and that's the roller coaster. This one is in such close proximity to that, and it's in such close proximity to the other roller coaster, the RMC. I say the other roller coaster, there's only 2 others, but there are others. But basically what I'm trying to say is that this is very close to the RMC and also to Pulsar, the B&M Giga, that, I felt like giving this one an extravagant theme would probably detract from those, even though admittedly the RMC doesn't have much of a theme either. But, this is a very small-scale roller coaster. Like, if this was some gigantic monstrosity, like behemoth of a roller coaster, then yes, it would of course necessitate its own theming, I would assume, if I'd hypothetically done that. And Pastomat had decided that as well. But, given that this is a very small roller coaster, it's in close proximity to others, I didn't think having some big themed station would be all that appropriate. So the station theming is going to be fairly generic. Ironically, much like the RMC coaster. Or like the yellow one. What do you want? This is Zamperla Thunderbolt. I think that's what it's based on. That has very generic theming as well. So it's going to be a fairly unassuming station. It's still going to be a nice... I feel like the architectural style is fairly nice. Like, it would be something that a real theme park could use. Just not a Disney theme park. But, you know, maybe your Six Flags, even, dare I say, your Alton Towers would have a station like this, where it's going to be like a fairly nice looking station. You know, nicely constructed. It's not just slapdash, corrugated iron sort of thing. It's generic, but it's fairly nice in terms of how it looks. And that's what I'm aiming for with this park, it seems. I mean, most of the rides in this park have been fairly generically themed. Like, in terms of naming, now I'm really like having to stretch my mind back all those years. Back the year, let's face it. Back the year that this park has been under construction. I feel like the only themed rides really are the Industrial Revolution, and is that it? Oh, the Whitewater Rapids are kind of themed as well, and I'm sure there's another one that's themed. I guess the red one is kind of themed, but again, it's a loose theme. It's a loose theme, a bit like Pulsar. So if we're including loose themes, I'd say Pulsar, the red one, what's it even called? Red Devil, and the Industrial Revolution. Oh, and the Dragon one. That's four. That's four, guys. And like I say, the Rapids technically counts as a tracked ride, so I'm going to call it a coaster. That's 5. So most of generally, I'm aiming for a Six Flags-esque aesthetic with this park, right? So not overly over the top with the theming, but just enough to satisfy that fantasy level. I have no idea, to be honest. I guess I just theme stations depending on how willing I am to invest all the hours into scenery. Let's be honest. Although, you know, I mentioned the Rubber Dinghy Rapids ride. I feel like a lot of people message me on Discord and indeed comment on YouTube and Twitter, etc., about saying, Matt, you should build a water ride for Velocity Lake. Velocity Lake doesn't have any water rides. And I'm like, it does. It has the Rubber Dinghy Rapids ride. I keep calling it a Rubber Dinghy Rapids ride. I feel like only people that have seen the film Four Lions understand that reference. You know, the Whitewater Rapids ride, you know, where you sit in the circular boats. There's Rubber Dinghy Rapids. Watch the film Four Lions. It's great. I'm not sure if I can really describe the contents of this film without getting demonetized, but it's a really, really good dark comedy. So I wholeheartedly recommend Four Lions to anyone that hasn't seen it. Although I do concede that it is a British comedy and it's very niche. So I don't know how well it would work for people that aren't British, because us folks in England, we do have our own brand of humor that doesn't always translate overseas. So I don't know. It's a tentative recommendation for the film Four Lions. I personally really like it. Hopefully you will too. But I also hope that you really liked this video. And if you want to see more videos like it, there are links on screen. On the left hand side is a link to the full Velocity Lake playlist. The right hand side is a video chosen for you by YouTube's recommendation algorithm. There's other things on screen that I'm sure you can see. And that's it. Bye.